last part of our conference today, we will have a partner presentation by Model AG, SAP, and T.CON, exploring how digitization drives sustainability and increases efficiency in an ever-evolving market. The panel will be moderated by Esther Robb, Marketing Manager at T.CON. T.CON is a successful German SAP consulting and systems company. Since joining T.CON in 2017, Esther manages international marketing and supports corporate decisions with holistic research papers on various markets. Esther, welcome, and you may begin and introduce our other guests.
Hi, thank you, Marina. Welcome to our joint partner presentation on how digitization drives sustainability and increases efficiency in an ever-evolving market. My name is Esther Robb, and I'm Marketing Manager here at T.CON. I'm super excited to have not one, but two high-caliber experts with me today. Alfred Becker from SAP and Christian Baum from Model AG. You're probably curious as to what's coming your way in the next 20 to 30 minutes, so I'm just going to give you a couple of highlights. First, Alfred Becker will share some valuable insights on macro trends, why it's crucial to adapt, and how digitization can help with these efforts. Then Christian Baum will elaborate how Model AG's innovative packaging solutions support the transformation to a circular economy using digital tools from T.CON. Then I will shed some light on innovation-driven, resource-conscious production. That way, in addition to gaining sustainability advantages, you can also cut costs by optimizing your production. If you have any questions, please feel free to just pop them in the Q&A section. We do have some time allocated in the end for questions. Well, I'm super excited to find out what Alfred Becker has in store for us. So I think we should just begin. Alfred.
Thank you, Esther. Just sharing my screen. You should see my screen now, do you?
We can just see your background.
Okay, that is bad. Then let me try to share differently. You should be able to see it now.
Yep, now we can. Thank you.
That is wonderful. So my name is Alfred Becker. I am the lead for product management for forest, paper, and packaging business within SAP. And I wanted to speak about sustainability and the reduction of carbon emissions within packaging business. Have you bought recently food over the internet? I have to admit I did, and it was not only food. And I was not alone in doing so. As we have heard already today, e-commerce is booming in these days, and probably due to COVID crisis, the increase of e-commerce is even gaining more speed. That is good news for packaging companies. All of those goods, they need to be wrapped, they need to be boxed to be shipped. But of course, consumers ask themselves, what will happen with all those packaging goods being used? And of course, consumers are also investors or potentially tomorrow's employees. So good questions really, good answers really matter. On the other hand, I mean, climate change is on many people's minds, and climate is also something that was since a long time being covered by legislations. So if there's probably one thing that grows even faster than revenues in packaging business, it's the number of regulations that apply to paper and packaging. So for many different reasons, this topic of sustainability is high on the CEO agenda or probably on many companies' agendas. And it would need to answer, how do we sell in the future? What do we sell? What is a product portfolio that makes sense in these regards? But also, where do we produce? Where do we source from? Do we really have to ship that around the globe? And I don't see that all of these questions are really a challenge. Some of them may offer also opportunities. Think of this example. There is extended product responsibility that mainly kicks in for consumer products companies, I believe, who are held responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, including disposal or recycling. And I don't think it kicks in today for packaging companies directly, but your customers, the CPG company, they may ask, hey, what does it mean in terms of emissions when I use your product? Or what does it mean if I use this versus that? And good answers do really matter. But I would turn this around and say, what if you could consult your customers on how to reach their sustainability goals? Wouldn't that be even a differentiating service? Now, it's not so easy to answer questions like, what does it mean in terms of emissions? I think traditionally companies have been focusing on internal operations like manufacturing. I mean, this is usually where a lot of energy is being used, where you produce scrap or do not. But I believe that in order to really come up with a holistic view of the carbon footprint of a product, it has to be a more holistic view, what is called here sustainable supply chain management. So it all starts with input materials. These are hauled to places of a packaging company. They're converted, they're distributed. If it's recyclable, then even the collection and recycling will cause consumption of energy and additional emissions. Although, of course, in the end, it will be beneficial to the total equation. But even if we look at input materials, well, they come with a kind of backpack of growing emissions. Well, each step of their processing will add some additional energy consumption. Think of cutting down trees, and the wood gets hauled to a mill, it gets chipped, it gets digested, and so on. So only a holistic view can help to understand what's going on, but even that is difficult because, first of all, sustainability is not a dimension that is usually being reported on. Secondly, many sources are widespread. So there's not one single repository where you could retrieve all of that. And in these days, many of the assets that you will use to fulfill all those steps, like manufacturing and distributing, those assets will provide sensor data that can be further used to enhance the overall picture. Well, what can we do if it's so difficult to get that insight and transparency into the actual sustainability status, emissions of a product? And this is why SAP decided to create Climate 21, a product that is meant to collect all data, all relevant data into one single data model. Some of the data may reside in SAP solutions or in an ERP in general anyway. Think of a bill of material of a product. But much of additional data, like the already mentioned sensor data or a lot of data from non-SAP applications, can help to complete the picture and provide the environmental footprint, the carbon footprint of a product along the entire process, along the entire value chain, or how you slice and dice that. So the entire order to cash or procure to pay, we want to be able to help you understand what does it mean to produce this. And one of the ideas where this can help is on various levels. I could envision that on enterprise level, this can help to decide for sustainable business models, for a sustainable product portfolio, or simply to easier comply with regulation. On the other hand, we believe that also daily business operations can be impacted through this knowledge, because if you track carbon emissions and you understand per machine or per line or per role what this means, only in understanding you can become better. But in the future, we believe that this kind of data can be used also outside of own four walls. For example, it can be provided to producers of consumer goods or anyone else, so that consumers could, for example, scan a product and they would be informed about the emission footprint of all components of that product. And they can make sound decisions based on that. But we all have to start somewhere. And we're right at the beginning of this journey. So with version 1 of that product, or release 1, we will concentrate on in-house operations, which means on one hand, emissions which are reported to you from your suppliers when you purchase raw material. But on the other hand, emissions created by the results of own conversions or own machines that are in operation. And of course, it includes outbound transportation. But as I said, this has a roadmap that applies. So we want to become much more holistic. I understand this is a bit visionary, but of course, it has been possible to look into sustainability and save energy since a long time. And therefore, I'm very happy to hand over to Mr. Baum from Model AG. He will outline how Model AG becomes a sustainable, sorry, not becomes, but becomes a more sustainable company. Thank you.
Yeah, Alfred, thank you very much. And hello to everybody. My name is Christian Baum. And as Alfred said, I'm working for Model AG in Switzerland. I'm 10 years now with Model, and I'm responsible for the business application area in the Model AG, which includes various applications that we have. And today I'm trying to, let's say, show you a little bit insight on our process, and especially on this, what we call a closed paper cycle, where we exactly try to do what Alfred mentioned a little bit. So to, let's say, integrate our, let's say, business divisions that we have into a closed loop. So I'm trying also to share now my screen with you. And I hope that you can now see my screen.
Yep, we can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, a very, let's say, small and short introduction about the model group. I don't want to go too much into details, of course, because it's not about the model group itself, but just that you know who we are and where we come from. So the model group is a family-owned company. We are coming from Switzerland. The headquarters is located in Weinfelden. And let's say we are present in all over Europe, and that you have some numbers or figures. So we have here, let's say, some numbers. I think most interesting for you would be to see, let's say, our business divisions, because we are producing, let's say, paper. So we have 2 paper mills which are located in Switzerland, and several corrugated board packaging plants over Europe, and also some individual cardboard folding carton packaging plants. And accompanied to that, we offer different services to our customers. And out of those business divisions, I would like to highlight a little bit the upcoming, let's say, most important points and divisions. So when it comes to sustainability, yeah, as Alfred said, it is now a topic which is in focus, but we think it always has been, even though it was not in the mind of everybody. So it is part of our present, but we believe that being sustainable means being simply switched on and alert. So by simply continuously making improvements, I think you are automatically getting more sustainable. so in fact, we are convinced that really this environmental laws and economic laws go hand in hand. They are two sides of the same coin. We released last year our first sustainability report, where you can find additional, let's say, informations and also additional numbers about us. Regarding the business divisions, so in our paper plants, we produce, as you can see here, these two kind of papers, which are made of 100% recyclable resources, so from waste paper, for the corrugated paper board production in our plants. But we sell also paper to third-party customers, so it's not everything, let's say, consumed by our own plants. And additionally to that, our corrugated packaging plants are also buying from external paper companies some paper. In the service part, we have our own logistics fleet, where we own, let's say, own trucks, own lorries, which deliver the goods to our customers, and of course, which deliver also the paper from the paper mills to the corrugated packaging plants. And what we also offer to our customers is modal recover, and this is quite a new thing, because we thought of how we could, let's say, help our customers and also increase a little bit the sustainability by reusing these old waste papers. What we tried to do is really to close the loop and to implement a closed paper cycle. To do that, I will shortly show you after the slides a small video which should explain what it is, and we'll go a little bit more to the details then. But first, as a basic for all these things, we tried, let's say, before the year 2019, we had especially in the paper area, our own developed software. And the first thing that we decided to do is to implement SAP. Because of several reasons, but the main reason was that we wanted to implement a state-of-the-art MES system and also, let's say, business processes on top of that, because it was, as you can imagine, our own programmed software based on many Excel files and legacy data systems. So in that we did in 2018 to 2019. And after that, we were setting up directly after that an optimization project where we tried actually to, let's say, connect more and more systems and data and sensors to the MES system, because our goal is simply to, let's say, to derive from these sensors exactly the data that we need to improve. So it means that we, for example, connect the energy consumption or the energy data, like the power, and measure it every second. And we transfer this energy information to the MES and connect it there with the order data and the reels that we produce to, let's say, make it possible to analyze how much consumption we were using for this production order, or for especially these reels that we produce in the paper area, which goes a little bit into the direction from the idea what Alfred also mentioned with the product that SAP is bringing up now. So, and we transfer this data then to the BW system and create there the reporting over that. And now for this closed paper cycle, I will try to share with you a video. I hope that it will work. So my sound is shared. I will start it and hope that you will be able to hear it.
Do you know what a closed paper cycle is? Let's look at an example. This is shelf-ready packaging. On its journey through the closed paper cycle, it goes through a whole lot. Naturally, our packaging's adventure starts at model. Fresh from production, a truck brings it to the customer where it's filled with various goods, tightly sealed and labeled. Its journey continues to the point of sale, where it lands opened on the shelf and stays there until all the merchandise is sold. What happens now? After all, our packaging has done its job and wants to go to model to be recycled. To be properly prepared for transportation there, it first joins its friends in the baler. Once they've arrived at the paper plant, the cartons are processed. Step 1 is the pulper. The packaging is broken down in the water bath. From the resulting pulp, new paper is produced in the paper machine. It is then processed into corrugated cardboard and later into new packaging or displays. These are soon on their way to the next customer. At Model, we offer a one-stop source for all aspects of the closed paper cycle. The cardboard packaging is produced in our own paper factories. It is processed, and our logistics experts then plan the best transport routes. That's how we keep an eye on each step to see whether our cycle is sustainable or not. For example, whenever we deliver new boxes, we take back the old packaging directly. As a result, we avoid empty runs and significantly reduce CO2 emissions. What's more, we will advise you on all aspects of recycling and sustainability. We will analyze your existing waste disposal system, identify room for improvement, and work out solutions with you. Thanks to our expertise, you can profitably recycle your recyclables in the cycle. And that doesn't just apply to packaging, because we will also organize the disposal of other recyclables. To do this, we work together with expert partners to find a sustainable strategy for each material. The best part is, you don't have to bargain with different contacts. You can just sit back and relax. We will do the rest. So, when will your journey with Model begin?
Okay, hope this wasn't too much marketing. The important thing should be to explain you a little bit, let's say, this picture that we see here, which means that, simply said, we are producing the paper, as I mentioned. We transport this paper to our corrugated board plants, and also, as I mentioned, we buy additionally some external papers for the production. And after that, we are transporting with our trucks the goods to our customers. Beside that, yeah, we have also some things like co-packing if required. So simply meaning that we fill up these point of sales displays, for example, before we deliver them to the stores. And when the delivery has taken place, we are collecting from our customers or from, let's say, nearby collection centers, the waste paper back, which can be reused then to produce new paper. And as you saw in the video, we are not transferring back only the waste paper, but also some other recyclables, because we have some partnership with other recycling companies. And a part of that we can also use in our own waste incineration plant, where we can, let's say, burn this waste, which we can then use simply to use the steam out of that for the paper production. And as I mentioned, what we try to do is simply now to get more data out of this process with the solutions based on the MES that we have, and based on the data that we get out of there. Additionally, you saw there is a lot of logistics, and this was also a part of why we took the decision to really use our own trucks, because we simply will optimize here the outbound deliveries with the inbound deliveries for this waste paper and goods. So means fields of action, to sum it up a little bit, data collection and analysis. So we are connecting to the PLS systems, the MES system, to get the data from electricity consumption, steam consumption, and also environmental data. and then to visualize this data and analyze it, and then of course improve our production also on that. We try to, of course, reduce waste wherever possible. So we have a trim optimization tool also from T.CON, which helps us to plan our runs on the paper machine and to reduce really the trim waste. And as you probably know, in corrugated board production, you have the same trim problems you need to solve. And additionally to that, we are optimizing, let's say, setup procedures over our plants to try to use the synergies that we have and to do really optimal setup procedures in every kind of setup that we are doing. Because it simply means that, yeah, the shorter the time you have to set up a machine, or even also the less waste you produce, the more sustainable you are in the end. And the last thing is, yeah, this closed paper cycle. So this model recover that we saw, we have about 430,000 tons of waste paper that we need each year to, let's say, to keep our production of paper up and running, which is more than 1,000 tons a day. And 33% of that are actually handled directly with our customers, for example. So 33% of this quantity we are already getting back directly without trading or an additional company in between. And we want to, let's say, raise this quantity to at least, yeah, our goal is 50% at least to have that. Yeah, and I think what we also have is, so we are thinking a little bit out of our own company also, because we often have the situation that you have paper suppliers which are close or nearby to our corrugated plants all over Europe, closer than we are, and vice versa. It means that other companies have corrugated packaging plants which are closer to our paper mills than their own paper mills, and therefore we have some cooperations with them. Mean simply that we deliver paper from our paper mills to them, and they deliver paper from their paper mills to us, to our corrugated packaging plants, and everybody on both sides, we save simply the CO2 for driving around. Yeah. And this works very well since a longer time already. And then, of course, also to save, trucks or CO2, we try to use pipeline connections. So, for example, for the wheat starch that we require to produce the corrugated board, we were able to create a pipeline from a supplier which is, across the street, so really nearby, which was lucky for us, and it worked really well, and it saved also a lot of inbound deliveries, which was coming in the past via truck to us. So, sustainability, I think in the corrugated packaging industry, when you have additionally some paper mills like we have, I think this sentence that you can read here is really true, because what is thrown away, we try to turn into something new. And that was it from my side. So if you want to read a little bit more in our sustainability report, the link is nearby. And that is it. Thank you so far.
Thank you so much. So Christian Baum just mentioned how Model AG now tracks energy data using T.CON's manufacturing execution system, short MES-CUT. You may be wondering why it is so important to track energy data. Well, you can probably see those lights behind me. Sort of looks like a village, doesn't it? Well, actually, it's far from a village. It's a paper mill. And while paper is incredibly, it's a renewable resource, but paper production itself is an incredibly resource-intensive process. An average paper mill uses as many resources, for example, electricity or gas, as a city with 700,000 inhabitants. That's roughly the size of Austin, Texas in the US. You can see costs are really high. But if you go after the low-hanging fruits first, you can establish an IT landscape that actually caters perfectly to a resource-conscious production. So such an energy-aware production gives you the chance to not only produce more economically, but also to gain profitability advantages. There are several ways you can achieve this, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of use cases for you today. Okay, first of all, you can optimize production while juggling multiple contradicting constraints at the same time. So in addition to typical parameters such as machine or personnel utilization or stock balancing, you can also include energy data into your planning. So based on energy data tracked, you can draw conclusions. For example, what machine settings deliver the best results for various different grades of paper? So, utilizing energy data as a foundation for planning to optimize your production. Number two, you can make the most out of your contractual agreement with your energy provider by planning according to energy availabilities and costs related. You may want to avoid energy peaks because those tend to be really expensive. Energy providers tend to charge a hefty price for those. Instead, you probably might want to balance out your energy consumption. By identifying energy-intensive grades, you can plan to produce those at low-cost times, for example, at nights. Or you can plan to only produce one high energy grade at a time to avoid costly peaks. So, exploiting the conditions of your energy contract really is as easy as it sounds. It's like a low-hanging fruit textbook definition, if you ask me. Okay, third, tracking and analyzing data on a machine level will help you understand what part of the energy consumed actually was used for a value-adding activity. You'll also know exactly how much of that energy went to waste. For example, through stoppages, idle times, or setup times. And if you have that information in real time or close to real time, you can immediately initiate energy saving measures. For example, a machine breaks down, it's still going to consume energy. Why not just automatically send it into energy saving mode? But you can only measure you can only improve what you measure. That's why tracking energy data is key. Last but not least, you can set up machines, even complex machines, for optimal energy savings. So by integrating energy use data into T.CON's Golden Batch machine learning app, you can actually set up machines to offer, optimal energy savings. So you can do that without jeopardizing production schedule or quality. So running a machine at full speed often doesn't deliver the best results in terms of energy efficiency or costs. Okay, but apart from saving costs and optimizing your production, you may also want to improve your market presence and competitiveness. And in today's day and age, with limited resources, it is crucial, especially for large enterprises, to really act responsibly with these resources. Being CO2 conscious has never been as important as it is now. And Alfred Becker mentioned it in his part earlier. Customers grow increasingly sensitive when it comes to producing in an environmentally friendly way. Often, consumers even challenge companies to produce sustainably. So, with an energy-efficient production, you truly will establish sustainability advantages over your competition. As you heard, there's a lot that can be done with an intelligent IT setup. And we really do the best and get to know you and your business. And if you care to win an exclusive consulting session about these topics, please feel free to pop by our virtual booth, find out how you can attend in the raffle. I want to take the time to say thank you to Alfred Becker and Christian Baum, and also to each and every one of you for taking the time to listen.